Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Six Figure Real Estate Agent Podcast. I am your podcaster, Natalie Cousins, international real estate coach and agent, and founder of the Six Figure Real Estate Agent Coaching Program and podcast. I am uber excited today, guys, because we have the founder, or co-founder, I should say, of the Agent Help Desk, and she is going to tell us all today about the gift that keeps on giving, which is transaction coordination. You guys help me welcome to the show, Tameeka Nelson. Welcome, Tameeka.
Thank you so much, Natalie.
Awesome. So as you know, I am an international real estate coach. So I am coaching people all over the world. And what I talk about in my coaching program is a lot of outsourcing and delegation. And I know that in the beginning, when we start off as new agents, we kind of want to babysit the deal because we want to see what's going on. But you and I both know as we get busy in the industry, I always say that we should focus on income generating activities.
Absolutely.
And so contract to close is where a lot of us fall short. And before we jump into that, I want to tell you that I did market research earlier this year. I talked to maybe over 100 buyers and sellers, and I wanted to kind of find out from them, where they felt their agent missed out, or what they think their agent, or what they thought their agent could do better. And the funny thing came up was that they only heard from their agents from time to time as a selling person, and or they had a very good relationship with the agent at the listing presentation, and they built rapport, and that's why they decided to list with them. But then they only seen the agent at the closing table, or there was a lot of, hit and miss during the transaction. The buyers came back and basically said that they particularly did not or would not work with their agent again because they just felt as if they never heard from the agent again, or there's just no customer service and retention. With that being said, I said, okay, let me go talking to the agents now. Let's see what's going on in their lives and in their world to kind of get an understanding as to where they're falling behind. Agents' number one thing is that they are having issues with follow-up or keeping track of their deals. And so I thought to myself, we connected online. And I thought, you know what, let's talk about this, because a lot of people still don't know that these services exist. Some of their offices do the work for them. And so enough talking, let's get right into it. First, tell me who you are, what you do, and how long you've been in the industry.
Okay, so I am Tameeka Nelson. I am the co-owner of the Agent Help Desk. We're based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I am a transaction coordinator. Some people call it closing coordinator. Some people call it transaction manager. It's all used interchangeably, but it means all the same thing.
Yes.
And basically, I am an extension of you in your business. So a lot of agents get overwhelmed in the details, and that's what I'm here for.
Yes.
Because you have other stuff to do to produce the income, and while you're doing that, we work on the other side, taking care of the details that you may not get a chance to do, or you may just overlook. That's what we do all day, every day, so that the details of the deal are not overlooked.
Yes.
And so, again, we don't replace the agent. We become an extension of the agent or a part of their team in order to make sure that all those details from contract to close are handled. We communicate with the clients on behalf of you. We also make sure that, what a big part of it is for us is making sure that we ask for referrals during the process.
Yes.
And also making sure that all your paperwork is handled, just the details. You want to be out on the field doing stuff, making the money.
Yes.
But when you bring that money in, it needs to be handled properly. So we want to make sure that your customers are taken care of. So that's the bulk of what we do.
Of what you
making
do.
sure that your customers are taken care of.
And so tell me, what made you become a TC? I'd love to hear your journey on this.
My journey with that is and this is actually answering your other question as well, we have been in business together in real estate for over 15 years, but this particular business started in 2015. Myself and my business partner, her name is Leslie Winooski, we were both administrative managers for two separate teams. And so we decided, let's join forces. She's she heads up the listing department. I head up the contract to close, and that's kind of how we make it work together. So, I mean, listings are her thing. Contract to close is my thing.
Yes.
So, we basically started seeing where agents like you, where they were kind of falling off at. Now, agents are sellers at heart. Like, they can sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, right? Yes. But when it comes to that paperwork, not so much.
That's right.
Not so much. So we like to deal with the, I know Keller Williams calls them MCAs, which are the market center administrators and things like that. So we go in, we talk with them, kind of find out how that business runs, and we basically take on the details of the deal. So that's kind of how we started, just kind of seeing where agents were missing it at. And again, it was just like what you said, it's just the communication. And they know, it's just that a lot of times when you're out there trying to get the money, like, time is not on your side. So there are, in the process of time, you're still missing out on touching, your clients that you're already working with while you're out trying to get other business. So basically what I tell agents is, we work on the 80%, which is the details, while you work on the 20%, which is the income generating activity. That's
Love it. And, I can share that I was a TC. So just like how you love contract to close and she loves listings, I love to coach and I love to sell. And so hence why we're on this conversation.
You got to know your lane.
Today. Yes, you got to know your lane. And so at the end of the day, I had an agent say to me, she was like, I love you to death, but I need somebody who's going to be proactive, versus someone who's going to be reactive. And I received that very well. That very well, because I was like, there are going to be people who are great at a task versus somebody who's not. And I always find that it's better if you implement or place somebody to be able to handle these things for you, so that you don't have to. The other thing that I say is, for the agents who would like to hire a transaction coordinator, you can add that as a team member or a service to your particular marketing. So it helps to set you out from the competitor.
Yes.
And that's the big thing. So I calculated it. And for contract to close, listings may vary, but from contract to close, there's about 45 to 50 tasks that actually happen from the minute that the contract is under contract till it gets to the closing table. And so let's talk about that, because I like to equate coordinators as there's the top bun and there's the bottom bun. And then there's everything in between. You guys are everything in between. The agent should be the top bun, and the bottom bun with the lender and the attorney. So let's break that down just to paint a story for them as to, we've just gotten a contract ratified or executed. Every state has their own different name or under offer. And we've now emailed you this solid contract. What are the steps that you would do without giving out the full details as to how you would help an agent?
Okay. So I'm just going to give you an overall.
Yes.
What we do is, from the time that we receive the contract, we are in contact with you, the agent, with your client, which is the buyer or seller, with the attorney and the lender. Those are the first people that we need to be in contact with.
Yes.
If there's an HOA involved, we'll also get involved with an HOA to get all of the documents from them that we need. But what we're doing first is we're contacting the attorney, we're sending out the contracts, to the lender, making sure that everybody has the dates, the important dates within the transaction, making sure that you have, if there is a lockbox or something that your buyer needs for inspection, we're making sure that you have the CBS code. We're making sure that you have each party's information, because that becomes important. I've been in a lot of transactions where the lender didn't even know who the other side was, and kind of things like that. We're making sure that everybody, basically we're the liaison in the transaction, making sure that everybody is aware of everything. Once we get those contracts out to those parties, then we're dealing with your client. We're making sure your client knows what the next steps are. This is where your earnest money needs to go. This is what you need to do next. You need to contact your lender. You need to make sure that your lender, knows that that you're under contract. They need to know get your whatever documents it is that they need from you.
Yes.
You need to be on top of that. That's basically what my email says to them.
Yes.
And then letting them know about the appraisal process, just things that they need to know beforehand, especially stuff that they need to pay for.
Yes.
They need to know that stuff up front.
Yes.
And then also letting them know what the tentative closing date is so that they can prepare for that. Some people have to, prepare with their jobs or travel or however.
Yes.
Just making sure that everybody knows that.
Wonderful.
Then from that point on, we're keeping everybody updated on each stage of the process. So we're making sure that we're getting updates from the lenders about what's happening in the transaction. Was the appraisal ordered? When did the appraiser go out? Is the appraisal back? Like, just important stuff that can actually make or break the transaction pretty much, making sure that all the paperwork is back to the attorney. A lot of attorneys some do, some don't now, have information sheets. Those information sheets, they're not as important for the buyer, but for the seller, it's very important because you need to know if the seller has a payoff. You need to know who the mortgage company for the seller or the lien holder is for the seller. So all that kind of information is just making sure that we've tracked that the seller has gotten that back to the attorney. So what I do tell everyone is, if you have any questions, just come to me. I may not be the person to answer that question, but I will tell you where to go to get that question answered. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't have wiring instructions because with the cyber fraud, we don't send those out anymore.
That's right.
But what I will do is, bring the attorney in to make sure that you get those wiring instructions. So it's a lot of stuff that we do in the transaction. And what I try to do personally in our business, I can't speak for other transaction coordinator businesses, but what I try to do is make sure that there's a personal touch in there. And I think that customer service goes a long way with people. It goes a long way with people. Establishing that trust, that goes a long way with people. So I don't want anybody to just feel like a number, or you're just one of my files. I don't really want to know you. Let's just get you to the closing table. Just building that rapport, just like the agent did to get your business, keeping that rapport going. And just making sure that throughout the transaction you're informed. Those deadlines are important, so we're making sure that you stay on top of deadlines, whether it be due diligence, whether it be finance contingency, whether it be appraisal contingency, whether if it's an all-cash deal, making sure we verify those funds.
Yes.
All the important tasks that go in it. And I honestly, I used to be an agent when I was in Connecticut. Sales is not my thing, but administration definitely is.
Yes.
And so it's like, me being an agent, I don't see how people in a day span can really get all these tasks done without dropping the ball. It's really, really hard. Like, you really, really, really have to be on top of your game to get all this stuff done, and be an agent and lead generate and have a family and, and be soccer mom and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really hard. So outsourcing this type of the what I call menial task to someone who concentrates on that all day long basically relieves you of the stress at night of when you lay down in your bed. Oh my God, did I call this person? Oh my God, did I return that call? Oh my God, So it's just really, really making sure that all of those tasks are taken care of, and us being an extension of your business. That's the big part of it.
That's awesome. And here's the part where it gets even greater. The fact that you can sit in Atlanta, Georgia, and you can have a client in any of the 52 states or anywhere in Canada. And at the end of the day, it's like that agent doesn't have to worry about a snowstorm or, the city shutting down, because, Atlanta likes to shut the city down for a little bit of ice, right? So the fact of the matter is you can recognize statutory holidays, things like that, bank holidays, but you are able to deliver the utmost customer service, pay attention to the deal without having to rush into office to office. And that's great.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I like about it is the confidentiality between each brokerage firm or each agent and how they do their things. Yes. So it's not that you morph into what the agent wants. It's that you have to provide a service, but the agent might their broker might have one separate thing of how they do their earnest or something. Right. You're able to keep track of that to say, okay, well, this agent wants this, but this agent wants that. Two, you guys are continuously building a team of individuals, so you'll be able to service more. So this is absolutely great.
Absolutely.
I think that at the end of the day, the fact that you were an agent And so you don't have to mentally place yourself in their shoes. You were in those shoes.
Right.
You know what we go through, and you know what it is that we have to do. And so I pride and love that about you. And so I always tell my agents when they are, in the beginning, some of them can't afford to get a virtual assistant. Well, here's the thing. Tameeka's company acts as a virtual transaction coordinator. There is a difference between being a virtual assistant and a virtual coordinator. And so I want for them to understand, like, she is not going to handle certain things that an assistant would handle, but she will handle the delegation of, okay, what time do you need to be at closing at? So if you have two closings on that day, and she will know the closing date and times of each of those and know how to schedule out your day. You might have blocked off time that morning to say, I have an important meeting with my broker, or I have a doctor's appointment. So she'll know how to spread those things out. So you get the assistance of managing your time. This is not just about your buyer or seller.
Absolutely.
This is about the transaction and knowing that once it's appraised, she's also copying you. So you know that the appraisal has come in, or that there's an issue with the appraisal.
Right.
And so you guys I get to be peace of mind while working on my deals. I'm out there in the field. I'm still working with buyers. I'm still working with sellers. And at the end of the day, Tameeka's got my back for me to be able to not have things fall through the cracks.
If I can interject there, a great thing about having a transaction coordinator is the fact, and I was just thinking along the lines of what you were saying, when you're a new agent, transaction coordinators don't need to be trained. You don't have to tell them or explain real estate terminology to them or explain to them, you know, how to do something. They come already trained and ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We don't have to be put in the microwave. He put in the microwave to be warmed up. We're ready meal. We're ready to go. So that's something to think about, because this time that you spend in training a virtual assistant or an assistant, the time that you spend in that could have been the time that we've already taken to, you know, get through the transaction. But that's just another way to weigh it out. It's all about what you need personally for your business, but it is a reason to look into a transaction coordinator.
Yes. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's where I was segueing in.
Okay.
In our coaching program, I talked to them about looking at things that they do that are minutia or that really frustrate them. And so I equate that you can get a virtual assistant who's going to maybe filter your emails, filter your calls while you're out, handle those type of things. But I have learned I've trained many brokers, I've built many brokerages. You have to have a whole pie, and then there's pieces to it. So I wouldn't just pick a whole apple pie up and eat it. I'd have to slice it into quarters or whatever, or 1/3 to eat. And so everything has a piece of the pie. First of all, I'm the first slice, because without me working, there's no business. Secondly, you don't even need assistance in the beginning, but if you have a transaction coordinator in the beginning, you're just paying them per deal and not per hour. That's the part that I wanted to be able to say. So a lot of people might be saying, oh God, I can't afford a transaction coordinator. Can we talk about how you guys get compensated on the deal? Because I would really love to cover that today.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give you...
you don't have to give your fees, because I think they should talk to you directly about that.
Yes.
But just how you get
I'm going to give an overall, because there's several ways to do it.
Yes.
So I want to give you a few different options. So number one, we are paid at closing.
Yes.
So we get paid when you get paid. That's how it works.
Simple.
Depending on how your brokerage operates, we can either get paid through the broker, or we'll get paid from the attorney at closing.
Yes.
Depending on each brokerage. Some brokerages we are a vendor of, and they'll direct deposit the proceeds right into our account.
Yes.
Versus when you close, sometimes the attorney will cut us a check right there. That's one option. Another option is that we have personally, I don't know, I'm aware of some businesses, but not all that have this option. We have a monthly subscription. The monthly subscription is if you do a certain amount of deals per month, and this is for agents that have a little more advanced in the process. If you do a certain amount of deals per month, what you do is you pay for that monthly subscription, and it cuts the cost on your deals for the month. So
Absolutely.
that's another option. And the third option, which I've been noticing a rise of lately, is basically the agents, are getting the transactions for free, because in their brokerage agreements, they will put, okay, so let's say for a listing agreement, the seller will pay 6% plus
Admin
whatever
fee.
the fee is.
Yeah.
And that is the way that they cover the cost of their transaction coordinator.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so
And same
that
with buyers. With
way
buyers, we say it
get it
as
for
well
free.
in a buyer agreement. Sometimes the buyer pays it as well, admin fee. So it works out.
It can be buyer or seller, but it works out in your best interest because it's covering the cost for you. You don't have to worry about paying it.
And what if
So
a
I
deal
think
gets
that's a
terminated
big
in the
way
middle?
I'm sorry?
What if the deal gets terminated in the middle so that it doesn't
If the
appraise
deal gets terminated, everybody deals differently. In my particular business, if the deal terminates late in the transaction, we do charge a termination fee for the time that we've spent on the file.
Got
It's
it.
minimal, but we do have to charge something because we've already worked the file.
Yes, got that.
Now, if it terminates during due diligence, which happens all the time, we don't charge.
Okay.
So anytime up to due diligence, you're free to go.
Yes,
You're basically free to go. We understand the nature of the business. You understand what I'm saying? And so, that deal may terminate, but then the next week that same buyer will turn around and find something else, and we'll be back under contract again. So there's no point in penalizing anyone for that, because it's going to be back under contract. So for us, we don't. But that's just for us. So I don't want to.
We don't want to generalize. This is just for her company.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to do some food for thought questions. We've dug in enough. And I love the fact that you have a passion for this. This is not something that you just started today and you'll be done tomorrow. And so that leads me to my next question. How do you stay organized throughout your day?
Thank goodness that, number one, I have an assistant. And number two, I found systems to put in place. So I've basically, a lot of people know about time blocking, so I do time block my days. I also have found softwares and systems that work for me. So a lot of things now, a lot of times I can be on the go and still be able to take care of transactions and everything from my phone.
Yes.
Or, just making sure that's important to me. Like when I'm looking up systems to use in my business, 9 times out of 10, I'm making sure that they either have an app or somewhere, on that I can access the site on
cloud.
The internet. I can continue, to work even on the go. So sometimes, my husband is driving and I'm on the side of the road. I mean, not on the side of the road, but on the passenger side.
On the passenger side,
just getting it in. So that's a big thing for me, just making sure I stay organized that way. I use Google Suite heavy.
So do I.
So Google Calendar, Google Docs, like that's all me. Any softwares that I use usually tie into Google some kind of way. Gmail, all of my emails are hosted there. That's big for me. So that's the big way for me to stay organized.
Okay. And tell me, what inspires you?
What inspires me about this job or in general?
In both. Like, just what is your inspiration?
So what inspires me about this job is literally every day I'm helping get somebody's dream come true. Like that is so big for me. Because just listening to people's stories behind it and how they got here, or the first time they're first time homeowners, nobody in their family has ever purchased, or they have a new baby. Like I just we had a client appreciation event and I'm like, oh my God, you were pregnant with this baby when we were and just going through milestones with people, because then they have another baby or they want to downsize, and so you're going through that transition with them. Sometimes it's great transition, sometimes it's not so great, like death or something like that. But it's just walking with people through transitions of life. And so I believe personally for me, one of my purposes in life is to help people. So the fact that I get to do that every day is really the joy of my heart. Like it really is. So that is what inspires me about this job every day. What inspires me is just life. Like, period.
Yes.
I love freedom. I love flexibility. I love peace. Just all of those things inspire me. And those are actually what inspired me to start this business. Just a backdrop of the story, how I got involved in real estate was that I was purchasing a home. I was ready to purchase a home. So I was going through the consultation. And the week that we had set up to start, going out and looking and stuff, I got laid off from my job. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I got laid off from my job, and I was just like, okay, that deal's off. And literally a month later, that same real estate agent called me. She's like, are you still looking for work? I'm like, yeah. And she was my introduction into real estate. That's how it happened.
Wow.
And so, yeah, everything just fell into place. Literally, everything just fell into place. Yeah. And so there was an assistant. Keller Williams has it's called the Perfect Real Estate program. So I went through that program with her. Like, she put me through that program to get I was trained by a lady that they do hundreds and hundreds of deals every year. So I got the big training, even on a small scale. I know what the big scale looks like.
Yes.
So to be able to just get all that information and, take it in. And then I was able to help her run her business. And that's how I ended up getting my license, because then I became like a showing assistant and open house, things like that. And when I decided to move to Atlanta, getting a job here, I was just like, oh, I was trained in this program. They're like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how all of this started. And it was just, things sometimes look like they're for the bad, but they literally turn out for the good all the time. And that is what inspires me.
Oh my goodness. And that's motivating, because, there are so many people who you speak to, they haven't found their passion, or they don't know where to go, or they would take that and they would totally go into a dark place. But look at how you were able to elevate each time, and finally you were able to laser focus in and hone in on what your chief like your definite purpose in life is, and you're waking up each and every day. Isn't it a great feeling?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Like, when the deal falls through, I feel like it's mine. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And I look at it, and I the reason why I wanted to interview you is I wanted to be able to talk to agents about the gift that keeps on giving. And I think it's very important for us to understand that, there's no I in the word team. And sometimes we do have to have a shoulder to lean on. And so before we close out, and I really want to thank you for your time, I want to see if there's any last words that you can leave for an agent right now who's feeling like they may want to give up, or they're thinking that they can't get organized, or it's just a hot mess, or whatever it is that they're going through. What are the words of encouragement that you can leave with them before we go?
Absolutely. Number one, breathe. Breathe. It's all going to be okay. Number two, don't be afraid to ask for help. And I have seen in this industry a lot pride take people down. Just because they weren't really willing to ask for the help that they needed. And so when you don't even know what type of help is out there until you ask for it. Some people don't even know a business like mine exists until they get to the point that they're like all the way at overwhelm, And so just not being afraid to ask for help. If you don't have a community where you can ask for help, find one. Like, that's so important. And that's not just about business. That's just in general, like life. You need help. You need a village.
Yes.
It takes a village to raise me.
Yes.
Not just a child. It takes a village to raise me. So just making sure that you have the help that you need. Like, don't be too prideful to ask for help. There are a lot of agents in this business that don't even know how to put in a listing. They don't have to, because they call us for the help. You understand what I'm saying? So just breathing and making sure that you ask for help. And the other part of it is none of this, and you alluded to this earlier, none of this exists without you.
Yes.
None of it exists without you. So just making sure that you keep you as a priority. If you don't take care of you, your clients won't be taken care of, your business won't be taken care of, your family won't be taken care of. You have to be at the top of your priority list. And so I think with those three things, that's kind of what I would offer to an agent, because I see a lot of frazzled agents all the time. And that's my first word to them. Just breathe. It's going to be okay.
Yes.
Breathe. It's going to be okay. And then reach out for the help you need and make sure that you're at the top of your priority list. I think those three things are really, really detrimental to the life of an agent at this.
Thank you so much. So
Thank
let's
you.
you're welcome. Let's tell everyone how they can get in touch with you, your platforms that you're on, and go ahead and spit out your website.
Okay, so our website is www.theagenthelpdesk.com.
Yes.
It's theagenthelpdesk.com. And on Facebook and Instagram, and also on LinkedIn, it is the Agent Help Desk.
Wonderful.
So for Facebook, our page is the Agent Help Desk, but it's also facebook.com/the Agent Help Desk. Yes. Instagram, the Agent Help Desk, and LinkedIn, the Agent Help Desk.
Wonderful branding all across the board. I love it.
Yes.
And so, you know what? I really want to thank you for your time. My goal in life is to continue to provide agents with the removal of burnout and overwhelm. And so while I can aid that through my coaching, I always love to invite other people into my sphere of influence, or if I can refer out a person to be able to help with that. And I think you are one of the top people that I will continue to speak about, not just because I know what it is that you can do for them, but because I was once a transaction coordinator myself. I get it. And I know what it helps with the agent, and I know what it helps for us who have families, TCs, who want to be able to have balance. And so I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
We will definitely be doing more of this. And so, guys, I want to go ahead and thank you guys for joining me here on the Six Figure Real Estate Agent Podcast. Make sure that you go ahead and you check out my website, www.nataliecousins.com, for more details on workshops, events, other podcasts. And don't forget that you can also follow and subscribe as well. And while you're at it, if you did find this show or this particular episode of any value, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, Google Play, and on Podbean. Or if you can simply tell a friend or share with another agent who's in the industry that you feel will be able to receive this message today, please go ahead and do that. Lastly, I am still in the pre-launch of my book, The Six Figure Real Estate Agent. You can go ahead and get that at www.nataliecousins.com/the book. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us, and have an awesome and amazing day. Bye for now.